meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
We are Dayton's home of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
And into the end zone goes Chris Olave. KJ Hill, 6-yard touchdown catch. Right sideline and down he goes to the end zone.
WING 1410 Dayton, Dayton's ESPN Radio. Dayton Flyers basketball fans, it's time to get loud. It's the Talking Out Loud pregame show right here on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM. We now send you to Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street with your host, Sully.
That's me. What up? What up? It is great to be back with you. My name's Sully. This is the Talking Out Loud live pregame show streaming at Timothy's Bar and Grill. That's who is our presenting sponsor today. And it's ABC Week, brought to you by Lee's Chicken. I didn't know if you knew that, Toletta. However, it's great to have you on the show. This is your first time doing the live show, so welcome in, baby. I'm co-hosted by my esteemed friend and colleague here, Talking Out Loud, Kevin Tuletta, who joins me also from Chicago, Illinois. What's up, man? Oh, he can't hear me. Apparently he can't hear me. We're going to keep it going live anyways until KT can hear me. And we'll bring him onto the show when he can hear me. Technical difficulties are part of the radio business, unfortunately, but persevere, we will. Thanks for joining the show. If you're on StreamYard, YouTube, Facebook Live, if you happen to be joining us on iHeartRadio, or you're simply in the Dayton market listening to us on 1410 AM ESPN Radio, I welcome you. Again, my name's Sully. This is the Talking Out Loud pregame show, and we're here for the Dayton Flyers taking on the Rhode Island Rams. Tip-off 7 o'clock. And that is on CBS Sports Network. Senior night coming up here for the Rhode Island Rams. Senior night for a guy that has played a lot of games for against the Dayton Flyers, but I wouldn't go as far as to say that he has been a thorn in our side. I'm talking about Fats Russell closing out quite a lengthy and frankly a great career for the Rhode Island Rams. On the second segment of the show, we're going to do a little Jalen Fats comparison. We're going to do numbers side by side, and I'm going to put the debate to rest. First and foremost, I'm going to put the debate to rest right here on the pregame show of who has been better in their 4 years of playing collegiate basketball, Jalen Crutcher or Fats Russell. So stick around on the other side of our first commercial break. I'm going to do that in the second segment. We're with you for a whole hour, 6 to 7 o'clock, leading right up to the tip from the Ryan Center, UD versus URI. And before I get into my first issue of the night, if you've never been to the Ryan Center, it could not be more opposite than the scene at UD Arena. There's the campus is kind of close to the arena at UD, but it's not on campus. The Ryan Center is smack in the middle on campus, and then it's surrounded by parking lots, and then there's nothing next to it. Like, it's surrounded by woods and like little country roads in Rhode Island. It's not far from civilization. It's just not necessarily in civilization itself. So I wanted to paint that picture for our Dayton listeners out there that might not have been to the Ryan Center in Kingston. It's a polar opposite environment than the one that we see in Dayton, Ohio. So count your lucky stars, Dayton fans. We have a pretty darn good environment in the Gem City. All right, opening up the show tonight. Again, we have a packed show. Once I get KT on, he's aware of the full agenda. Once we get him on, the show should be running smoothly. And where I wanted to start tonight for the show is talking about college basketball's hot news of the day. And the hot news of the day, if you're not plugged into the college basketball circles, maybe you just like to follow things from a Dayton Flyers perspective. Jalen Johnson from Duke opted out for the rest of the season. And so I wanted to start there since it kind of was the news of the day. And you're going to see a lot more of this in the next couple of weeks. Guys that are opting out, guys that are deciding to sit down for the rest of the season to hopefully improve their draft stock by training instead of playing. And it always brings up an interesting discussion because, if you go old man take on this one, okay, if you want to back up, put you in the Wayback Machine and speak like our fathers here, we used to call it quitting. If you go through a season with your team, and in this case, we're talking about the Duke Blue Devils. Jalen Johnson was a player for Duke. He played 13 games, started 8 of them, had a diminishing role in the season, and Duke right now sits at 8-8, 6-6 in the conference, and very much not going to the NCAA tournament. So this situation in a bubble, if you look at it holistically, there's no opting out. This is quitting on your team. Now, with that in mind, these college athletes have the utmost freedom to do what they want and make the best decision for their career. That goes without saying. But in these situations, there is sitting down and helping your draft stock. They're sitting down and hurting your draft stock and actively making a bad decision when it comes to that draft stock. And this is one of those that hurts your draft stock. Now, I read an article today in the Sporting News that was talking about that draft stock from Jalen Johnson, talking about NBA executives looking at this case in a bubble and saying, was this the right move for this player at Duke? And the way that it was explained is that now when a player like this, he's a freshman at Duke, he's started 8 games, played 13 total. When he goes to an NBA team to present that resume, he's essentially giving a resume with references without anything on the resume. You're not giving NBA executives enough of a sample size to look at your entire body of work. Now, for some guys, it doesn't matter at all. James Wiseman last year played for Memphis. He had a suspension in December of the season. He said, you know what? I'm not going to come back. I can't hurt my draft stock any by sitting out, and it can't help your draft stock by coming back and playing for Memphis. He decided to sit down. He was still the second pick in the NBA draft. I feel like where college athletes are getting mixed up now is they all think that they're James Wiseman, and that could not be further from the truth, and that is my issue with the news of the day in college basketball, is that the many often think that they are the few. And when it comes to basketball, when it comes to your shot at the NBA, when it comes to getting drafted in the first round, there are few. There are not many that can cash in like that. And, we could even use the example of Obi Toppin here in Dayton. Had Obi sat down this time last year and said, you know what, let's say Dayton wasn't going anywhere, Obi was still putting up 20 points a game. If you sit down in mid-February, that's not going to help his draft stock because the jury was still out on Obi, where they wanted to draft him. Was he going to go top 10? Was he going to go top 20? And then the draft stock just kept improving. You put on the added layer here at Duke that this particular player, Jalen Johnson, played a month at IMG Academy, which is relevant for Dayton Flyer fans because we are recruiting IMG Academy at an incredible clip. We actually just signed a kid from IMG Academy just yesterday, Lynn Greer III. So Dayton's recruiting pipeline is going right through IMG Academy, and Jalen Johnson at Duke was one of the guys that played at IMG Academy. He played 1 month there and he quit. Now he's played a couple of months at Duke and he's quit. So when, again, every situation is different and every kid has the right, every college kid, every student athlete, whatever you like to call them, they all have the right to make their own decisions of how they think they're going to give themselves the best chance to succeed at the next level. In this case, I do not believe that Jalen Johnson has given himself the best chance to succeed in the NBA draft. But again, that is their road that will be traveled by a singular man. And I just thought it was an interesting place to start tonight because we don't often have to grapple with this type of situation at Dayton. Last year, we were blessed with Obi Toppin, who you would have had to get him out of the lineup kicking and screaming. There's no way he would have quit on the season. But the way that I started this discussion is the way that I want to end it. We need to stop treating this like opting out and just call it what it is. It's quitting on your team. And that's where I stand on it. It's quitting on your team. You can call it the way it is. Every student athlete's going to make their own decision that's going to give themselves the best chance to succeed, but call it what it is. It's quitting on your team. It's quitting on the boys that relied on you in mid-February, and it's quitting on a campaign when you know it's not going to go anywhere. I, for one, feel thankful. I'm going to put this in the spin zone for you now, listeners. I, for one, feel thankful that we do have a roster here in Dayton, Ohio that is not quitting on the season, and I know that because they are lacing it up right now in Kingston, Rhode Island to take on the LOWD Rams. On the other side of the commercial break, again, I am once and for all going to put to bed the Jalen versus Fats debate. They have both been in starting lineups for 4 years now. The sample set couldn't be more robust. And so I will break down all of the numbers for you. KT is going to be with me, I'm just told, on the other side of the commercial break. If you want to get in touch with the show, if you want to ask me questions, if you want to opine on my first segment, or you'd like to get involved later on the show when we're actually talking about UD versus Rhode Island, drop me a mention at Sully, my good name, or at Talking Out Loud. We're also on Facebook. Or you can jump into the StreamYard feed that I posted on my Twitter page at Sully, my good name, and you can just drop into the comments. Did have one comment as we were talking about Jalen Johnson and the Duke player quitting on the season, is that one and done guys should go to the G League because it's ruining the college game. You know, I don't necessarily feel that way, because if you went that route and you say all one and done guys have to go to the G League, there's a potential that guys like Obi Toppin never get to college basketball. And, I hate to break it to people, we were the beneficiary last year, but generally speaking, when the average college basketball fan jumps into the fold and they start watching games right around this time when the Super Bowl ends, what they're looking for is stars. What they're looking for is the big time programs, and they're looking for storylines. So while one and done players aren't necessarily the best for the health of college basketball, if you put those things in a bubble in these 1 year sample sets, they're always going to be good for the game, because they're going to invoke or inject rather a watchability to the sport. And, I hate to tell people, I hate to break news to you, but one of the best games in college basketball last weekend was a Drake and Loyola game. And that was over the weekend here. They played a back-to-back. First game was 81-54. And then the second game went to overtime at 45-45. So I hate to break it to people, but for the average basketball fan, that is not what we would consider high on the watchability list, okay? So, is there a space for one and dones in college basketball? Yes. Are they great for the health of the sport? No, but they're always going to bring a certain amount of watchability to the game. And ultimately, for people like us that have been here since day one, we followed since October, what you should be rooting for is more people to be paying attention to college basketball and pay attention consistently. And this is always when it happens, right? It always happens right in mid-February after the Super Bowl is over. And so, hey, I'm all for it. Think of a world where college basketball never saw Kevin Durant. He went to the G League. I don't want to live in that world, right? I want to see Kevin Durant get buckets for Texas, or the next Kevin Durant get buckets for Texas. All right, we're way off the rails. I wanted to start talking about that situation at Duke. If you didn't know what I'm talking about, go look it up. Jalen Johnson quitting on his teammates, calling it opting out, and moving on with the season. But it was also another way for me to get a jab at Duke, who super sucks, and they're 8-8. And I love living in a college basketball world where Kentucky and Duke both stink. All right, other side of the break, it's the Jalen versus Fats debate. We're going to put it to bed. I'm going to bring on KT to join me for the second segment of the show. And then to close out the hour, Dukes from Barstool is going to be joining us. Come on back on the other side of the break. It's a Talking Out Loud pregame show hosted by your man Sully and presented by Tim's. And you can only find it right here on ESPN 1410 Radio in Dayton.
ESPN 1410 Wing AM weather. This afternoon will be mostly cloudy, a high near 20. Tonight's also going to be mostly cloudy, a low around 2. And tomorrow will be mostly cloudy, a high near 23. I'm Pete Spivak for 1410 ESPN Radio.
The 2021 Honda Pioneer lineup is here to make light work of the job and add a heavy dose of fun to your day off. Every Pioneer side-by-side is stock full of smart technology, responsive power, and Honda's hallmark of engineering excellence. The only thing left to add is you. Then you'll understand how life is better on a Honda. For your safety, read the owner's manual, wear a helmet and eye protection, always wear your seatbelt, and keep the side nets and doors closed. Pioneers are for drivers 16 years and older.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring Class A CDL drivers. $5,000 sign-on bonus. That's right, $5,000 sign-on bonus. Home daily dedicated lanes, no touch freight. Apply today at CordellTransportation.com. Cordell Transportation, driven to succeed.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, with 24/7 support and experienced staff at over 250 local branches. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Germain Honda Beaver Creek is your local Honda dealer. For a limited time, get 0% financing on the 21 Honda Passport, Honda CRV, Honda HRV, and the 21 Pilot. Plus, get $0 due at lease signing on the 2020 CRV, Civic Sedan, and HRV for well-qualified buyers. See me, Sales Manager Jason High, for complete details. We're on Route 35, just east of 675 between Xenia and Beaver Creek. Germain Honda Beaver Creek, the right car, the right price, the right way.
Looking for a career and not just a job? Then Dayton Progress is looking for you. Dayton Progress is the leading international manufacturer of tools and tooling components for the metal stamping industries and has immediate openings for entry-level machinist. No prior experience is required, and Dayton Progress will train you, starting with the basics. They offer competitive wages with merit increases after 90 days of employment. They also offer private health care, including vision and dental, free life insurance, a contributory 401k, bonus programs, promotions from within, company service recognition, and 100% tuition reimbursement to local state colleges. Dayton Progress is a great place to work and has been a Dayton landmark for over 70 years. Apply today by emailing your resume to jobs@DaytonProgress.com. That's jobs@DaytonProgress.com. Dayton Progress is an equal opportunity employer.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you've practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
I'm more resourceful than I thought.
My suit can still make an impression.
My video games are still game changers.
And my lamp can bring others a bright future.
Because when I donate my stuff to Goodwill,
it helps fund job placement and training for people right in my community.
Now my stuff gets a second chance.
And will give someone in my community
a second chance too.
Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs. Find your nearest donation center at goodwill.org. That's goodwill.org. This message brought to you by Goodwill and the Ad Council.
We now send you back to Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street for more of the Talking Out Loud pregame show, hosted by Sully.
Welcome back to the Talking Out Loud live pregame show. I am your host, Sully, and today's program is powered by Timothy's Bar and Grill right on Brown Street. KT, you can hear me now. You're joining the show. What's up, man? Maybe you can't. I don't know. Every time that we've tried to bring KT onto the show, I can't hear him. So we're going to keep on trying. But Kevin Soletta, 2011 graduate of UD, is hopefully going to join me on the show any old minute now. Any minute he should. We'll see. So coming up, I try to have a co-host for everybody, and then sometimes it just works out where I don't get to have a co-host. So I'm sorry, everyone. Anyways, welcome back to the Talking Out Loud live pregame show. My name's Sully. We're here previewing Dayton against Rhode Island. Tip-off 7 o'clock on CBS Sports Network. And I'm ready to go for this one. I'm rejuvenated. I feel refreshed after a weekend off without Flyers hoops because I don't think anyone really needed to see Dayton against St. Joe. So here we are. We're back. We're ready to go.
Let's go.
You're in. There you are. KT's co-hosting with me. Finally in. It's 6:20, so 21 minutes into the radio program. You're joining me. Thanks, buddy.
Sorry, everyone. Sully, Flyer Nation. How we doing?
You're brought. Did you ever think you'd be doing a pregame show that broadcasts live at Timothy's Bar and Grill?
Never in a million years. Dreams do come true. So let's take what we can get.
But look at us. Look at us now. Look where we are here. All right. So I said before the commercial break that we were going to get into a little bit more of a preview. I pontificated on the way of the world in college basketball in segment 1 here. So second segment, we're actually going to get into the game here, KT. All right. I know, I put it off for the first 15 minutes here. I'm ready to roll. So
I know I couldn't even get to put my 2 cents in on that topic. Now that you care.
Yeah, it's already done.
Let's move it along.
Well, that 10 minutes is all I can spend on a topic of a Duke basketball player because let's be honest, no one gives a rat's behind in Dayton about Jalen Johnson and Duke, okay? You just don't care. So it's fine. On we move. We got Flyers in URI coming up here from the Ryan Center this evening at 7 o'clock. All right, trivia question. This is a good one, all right? They're always good ones. You know how much I love trivia. So UD owns the all-time series 21-17 against Rhode Island. Tonight will be the 39th meeting against between the two teams, and they have only met during their time in the Atlantic 10 Conference. That's dating back to 1996. All right, 38 meetings, 21-17 advantage for UD. The question to you, KT, on trivia tonight, and to all my listeners, how many matchups have either team been ranked in the 38 matchups between UD and URI? So how many times out of 38 have one or the other team been ranked?
15.
No, much lower than that, my friend. Much lower. It's actually 7. Yeah,
7.
It's 7 on the nose. You had to cut it in half.
Is it games they're ranked? So if both teams are ranked, is that considered 1?
Yeah. So okay. So if either team was ranked,
I got you. Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
Now I'll take it a step further here. We're talking UD URI trivia. How many games were both teams ranked?
See, that's okay. I'm going to go 4.
1 game. Okay, now here's why this is a weird trivia question. Because the 1 year, since this only dates back to the A10, it's not like a weird thing. We don't have to go back that far. The amount of years the Flyers were ranked while they're in the A10 is still, I believe, in the single digits. It might just be a 10. But the only year that Dayton and Rhode Island have met where both teams were ranked was January of 2008. That would have been your freshman year. Do you happen to remember what happened in that season?
Yeah. That game, no.
Okay, yeah. So that was January 9th, 2008. The only time Dayton, Rhode Island have met, both teams ranked. Brian Roberts on the roster. The Flyers went into the game 12-1. They were ranked, I believe, in the top 20 at that time. They were ranked 17th.
Was that at UD or in Kingston?
It was at UD Arena. They were ranked 17th.
All right, then I was at this game.
Yeah, and they beat the 22nd ranked Rhode Island Rams 92-83. I don't have a box score on that one, but I'm certain that Brian Roberts went off. I'm certain. I'm absolutely certain. Okay. Now that I got my trivia out of the way, you know that I have to do trivia before I get into anything tangible in this show. And wherever you're listening, whether it is ESPN Radio, if you're on StreamYard watching us, if you're, I don't know, YouTube, you could be on iHeartRadio. I think we're even on TuneIn. We're all over the place. Submit your questions at Sully My Good Name or at K Tuleta on Twitter, or you can just at the show at Talking Out Loud LOWD. And if you're watching on StreamYard, you want one of my shirts, hit me up because these are the good loud shirts. Okay, that's why I'm.
B-Rob had 23 points that game.
I thank you for that. All right, I said before the break that we were going to get to the debate to end all debates, and I was going to put it to bed right here, right now, KT, and you know exactly which one I'm talking about, don't you?
I sure do.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing about the Talking Out Loud podcast, whether we're live on the radio or doing a recorded podcast, we shoot you straight.
We are. We're going to shoot you straight. So here's where we stand on the Jalen Crutcher versus Fats Russell debate. And it's been raging on for years. Both guys came into their programs at the exact same time. And I'm not going to say they had similar careers, but the one thing they do have in common is that Fats Russell and Jalen have both played on one exceptional team each. When Fats got into Rhode Island, into their program, that was their best team that they've had probably in the last 20 years, I would say, that 2018 team. I'm talking about the Rhode Island team that was a 7 seed in the NCAA tournament. They were 15-3, won the A10 the year after Archie Miller left. You guys might remember that year because we took a step back. Rhode Island kind of dominated the conference, right? So when Fats came into the A10, that was his first team. It took Jalen till year 3 to be on a team that was truly dominant, obviously going 18-0. However, the sample set is large enough, KT. Let's put it to bed. Are you ready? You ready for this?
Absolutely. Yes.
I'm gonna pull the microphone a little bit closer. This is how serious I'm getting right now. Okay. All right.
I'll do the same.
So I looked up the numbers. Fats Russell has played in 115 games. Jalen Crutcher has played in 111 games leading up to tonight. So it's a 4-game difference. In his career so far, Fats Russell is one of only 2 players in Rhode Island history to go for 1,500 points, 350 assists, 300 rebounds, and 200 steals. It's incredibly impressive. Incredibly impressive. Jalen doesn't have the steal numbers to be on that plateau. So I just want to set the level straight for Flyer fans. We're talking about a very impressive career here. Fats Russell, 115 games versus Jalen Crutcher, 111. Here we go. Point totals. Fats has 1525. Jalen at 1488. Fats averages 13.3 a game. Jalen Crutcher averages 13.4 a game. Okay. Fats Russell, 381 assists. Jalen Crutcher, 552 assists. Check for Crutcher there. 324 rebounds for Fats Russell. 387 rebounds for Jalen Crutcher. Fats Russell has 206 steals. Jalen Crutcher has an even 100. Now, you take those 2 categories. All right, Fats has more points, but Jalen averages more. He's got more assists. He's got more rebounds. Fats has him beat on the defensive end. That's safe to say. Fats Russell has always been a better defender than Jalen Crutcher. I think that's fair to say. Okay. Now, here's the big clincher. Free throw numbers, Fats has the edge. 80-77 over their whole careers. 3-point percentage, 38% for Crutcher, 28% for Fats Russell. Nishkeet, not good. That's a check for Jalen Crutcher. 2-point percentage, 53-40 in favor of Jalen Crutcher. So I tell you, he's got more points average per game. He's got more assists. He's got more rebounds. He's a better 2-point shooter, a better 3-point shooter. The only thing Fats has him on, steals and free throw percentage. KT, I ask you, is this a debate any longer?
I never thought it was a debate to start. We always talked about who's got the cooler name, and I think Fats might win there. But first of all, let's just keep it a buck. These are 2 of the most outstanding guards we've seen in the A10 in a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not. I mean, these two guys are stellar basketball players. It doesn't take a genius to realize that.
Yeah.
When you put the numbers up, Jalen wins in a lot of those categories. I think what does it for me, and again, we shoot you straight here, not just because it's homerism, but Jalen has that killer mentality, right?
Yep.
Look at the game. That SLU game will be ingrained in our minds forever last year. And I also want to look at Jalen obviously lost a lot in the offseason. The team did. Rhode Island lost a pretty hefty amount of talent in the offseason.
Well, they had a lot of roster turnovers. They had guys like transfer, and then they had guys transfer in. They had a lot of graduates. So they just had a lot of turnover.
Right. But, we lost how many starters. They had this and that. And still, Jalen's having a much, much better season right now statistically. So you look at, when you're left and it's just kind of you in the spotlight there with not much around you, what are you going to do? And I know we could talk till the cows come home about effort and everything on this team this year all around. But when you put these two players in a vacuum, they both lost a lot in the offseason. Jalen's having a much better season. He's got that killer mentality when he wants to. So I'm homerism or not, I'm going with Jalen Crutcher.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers are right there. I read them off to you. I'm a numbers-based guy. I like the facts. What do the facts tell me? And the facts tell me right now that Jalen Crutcher's had a little bit of a better career than Fats Russell. But again, I'll always give Fats the nod on the defensive end. So, like you said, that was a way for me to kind of open up the second segment tonight to kind of point out the fact that great career for Fats Russell. Honestly, he's been a spark plug for that team, for better or for worse, for 4 seasons now. But the interesting thing that was brought up on the blackburnreview.com in the award-winning recon this afternoon is that the one interesting thing about Fats Russell is that he has a propensity to not play well against Dayton at all. So in the 7 games that he's gone up against the Flyers, he's shooting 33% from the field. He's shooting 30% from downtown. That's 9 for 30. And he's shooting 35% from 2, 15 for 42. He's got, let's see, I'm reading off the stats right now. Sorry. 7 turnovers in 7 games. Fine there. Averages 2 fouls per game. But he's had poor shooting numbers, and he's never had a game above 15 points against the Flyers. So I think that, I didn't want to be jaded in this because it goes without saying that we just haven't really seen him play like a lights-out game against the Flyers. And I don't know if that's a testament to Anthony Grant. I don't know if that's a testament to our personnel defensively and the approach that we take to him. But, what I'm getting at is he's been really successful against a lot of teams in this conference. We're just not one of them.
It's funny you say that because in the years we've been doing this podcast, this show, this blog, we talk all the time about how it never fails. Someone will come into UD Arena from the other team and have a career night, shoot lights out. It always happens. There's a few times a season where someone from another team comes in and has the night
usually
of their
it's
lives.
a white guy for some reason.
It's
usually
a
white guy.
Always at UD Arena.
Yeah.
So they see that Fats has more of his poor games against us is just an absolute shock. Personally,
I know that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. And I was kind of, as I was looking through the stats today, that was one thing that kind of jumped off the page. Was just that Stats has had kind of an underwhelming career against the Flyers, and you wouldn't think that, but I guess looking back, I didn't really remember any like watershed moments in his career with us, right? What I do remember is that Rhode Island has had guys that have killed us year in and year out. This hasn't been one of them. So he's not the only guy tonight. He will have to do a decent chunk of their scoring. He puts up about 1 in 4 of their shots so far this season. He still has a fairly high assist rate. It's a 24% assist rate, which basically means he's shelling the ball out to other guys getting buckets about 1 in 4 possessions. So he's facilitating a good bit for Rhode Island. And to put those numbers in comparison, his shot percentage is just about the same as Jalen Crutcher. And the percentage of possessions that he's involved is right around the same as Jalen Crutcher. So really what this game comes down to is who has a better game. And if I'm a betting man, KT, we just outlaid the numbers right there. You'd be better suited to put your money on Jalen Crutcher to have a better game tonight. But that's kind of what it's going to come down to today. We talked with Rhody Rampage earlier this week on the podcast Dave Ascoli has been running Roadie Rampage for a long time. Gave us the lowdown about URI, and it's funny
a Rhode Island. It's a Rhode Island podcast, by the way, for the listeners that don't know.
Yeah, he's on Busting Brackets site and all that good stuff. He's been around with us since day one, so that's why I was so laissez-faire with dropping his name. I just assume everybody knows the Roadie Rampage. But the funny thing about Rhode Island this year is that they have Fats Russell, who is a ball-dominant point guard who they have to rely on for their scoring. They turn the ball over a ton. They can beat any team in the conference, or they can lose any team in the conference, and they still have a lineup that hasn't entirely figured out how to play together. KT, that sounds a lot like a team you know, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does, Sully.
Yeah.
Which one?
It sounds exactly like the Dayton Flyers. Pretty much the only difference between these two teams is that Dayton is going to live and die by the three, and Rhode Island is not as reliant. Rhode Island is getting a 3-point attempt for a shot attempt. So the way that these numbers break out and the way that you can look at it is, for every 2-pointer, how many 3-pointers are they taking? And Rhode Island is taking 1 3-pointer for every 3 short-range shots that they take, and that is near the bottom in the NCAA. Whereas Dayton is obviously going to be near the top. They live and die by the 3. They shoot lots of threes, and obviously we kind of stink if we're not hitting threes. Let's be honest. Let's just be honest here. We're not very good.
It's just facts. Ball don't lie. Numbers don't lie.
It is. It's just facts. So I'm going into the book today. For all you people in Ohio, I really am sorry that you don't have sports books yet. Both of us here doing the show, we're located in Chicago, unless we're live from Tim's. Today we're not live from Tim's. I just feel for you. I feel for you that you can't put money on the Flyers, because in seasons like this, KT, you need the betting lines. You just have to have them. You got to have them. It's what keeps the games interesting, you know?
I bet against them, which is the first time I ever bet for or against Dayton a few weeks ago, and got smoked.
No, you can't do that.
So that's why we're retiring for the rest of this basketball season. One and done.
Oh, you're retiring. Yeah, Dayton opened at
personally.
Dayton opened at a +4 underdog, 4 points. They're down to a +3. Money line is +135, so you're going to win $135 if you bet 100 for all you non-bettors out there. And the game total is 134. Where I love, here's Sully's Stone Cold Lock of the Day, which they've had varying levels of success. But today, I feel very good about this one, KT. The total points for the Dayton Flyers today is 65. I am taking the over. The Flyers are scoring 65 today. You can bet your butt they're going to score 65. I'm telling you right now.
I'll go my Moto Lock of the season is the over today.
Dayton points over, okay?
1,000%.
Dayton's been a treacherous team to bet on this year. I'm not saying that betting on them to win this game today is going to be a lock. I'm just saying I like the Flyers odds to get to 70, not even 65. So that's my pick for tonight. Not necessarily Dayton's going to win. I do think they're going to win. I do personally have money on them to win myself, because I'm a fan. As you know, I'm a radio show host. I'm a fan. I'm an alumni. I'm all that baked into one. So I bet on them to win tonight. But point total over. Take it. All right, take it. That's the one. And again, this is what keeps the season interesting as we're going down. We are now 38 minutes into the show. Have you heard me do lineup comparisons? Have you heard me talk about players other than Fats Russell and Jalen Crutcher? No. Because listen, people, we know what this season is. We know what it is. KT, you know what it is.
Yeah, it's called one giant. Every game is just a coin flip. That's all it is. Real
not
simple
even that.
here.
It's just we don't have to sweat these games anymore. I don't have to nitpick through the lineup. I don't have to do the here's what you got to watch for. We know how it's going to go. If Dayton limits the turnovers, if Dayton's hitting threes, if Ibby and Jalen are leading scoring, we're probably going to win. If those three things are not happening in the exact order that I said, Dayton's probably going to lose. It's simple as that, right?
It's a very simple equation, and you nailed it.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's why we have the radio show, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Dukes is going to join us from Barstool. I guess he's the younger version of what we're doing here, because he's like a 2020 grad, right? And we've been doing this, slaving away at this radio business for too long now.
It's wild to be the old guys now, so it's good to have some of those young bucks, that young blood come on.
I know. So Dukes and Barstool Sports going to be joining us on the other side of the break. We'll do a little bit more preview in UD against URI. We'll get Dukes' take, who he bet on, and what he likes for tonight. If he likes the Flyers to win, I bet he does, and I bet he's going to have some gambling tips for you. That's all on the other side of the break. You're still listening to the Talking Out Loud live pregame show. I'm your host, Sully. It's powered by Tim's, and you can only find it right here on 1410 ESPN Radio in Dayton.
The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to assist veterans during this COVID-19 pandemic. Even though we are not meeting face-to-face, we are here for you. We understand it is a difficult time with this virus threat and the strain of implementing social distancing. For those Montgomery County veterans who have lost their source of income due to their employers having to close or reduce their business hours due to the COVID-19 pandemic, you may be eligible for COVID-19 special financial relief assistance. Please contact the Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission at 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday for more information or to have an application sent to you. You can also visit mcvsc.org. The Montgomery County Veterans Service Commission is here to help Montgomery County veterans during the COVID-19 crisis. Call 937-225-4801 Monday through Friday or visit them online at mcvsc.org.
You have empty office space to fill or home office to create. You know what you need. You know what you'd like. But you also have a pretty good idea after you've shopped around the usual places what you need and what you like might not happen. Well, then you haven't been to Charles Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. Nobody has their selection. Nobody has their discounts. And every week there's something new. If you need office furniture, Larrick's Warehouse Outlet can sell it to you for half the price and below manufacturer's selected prices. Half price and below on hundreds of items. Selection from budget to the best. Really, desks from $50 to $5,000. Filing cabinets from $25 to $500. Before you go anywhere else, do yourself a favor and come to Larrick's Warehouse Outlet. With 25,000 square feet of selection, you're not going to go anywhere else. Larrick's Warehouse Outlet at 23 McOil Avenue, Dayton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Larrick's, continuing the tradition.
Fever is a leading symptom of the coronavirus, so take your temperature twice a day with the Exergen Temporal Scanner. It's quick and easy to use, and its accuracy is backed by more than 80 clinical studies. Have your family start and end their day with the only home thermometer used and recommended by hospitals, doctors, and nurses. Your family can take their temperatures in seconds to know where they stand in the fight against COVID-19. Protect your family from the spread of this deadly disease and stay safe with Exergen.
Are you ready for tax season? Belmont Business Consultants and Tax Services is ready for you. If you want to come in person, it's a safe environment, or you can just drop off. Belmont Tax also provides a completely virtual, secure client portal. For business or personal, if you want the accurate deductions you deserve, contact Belmont Tax in Dayton and Eaton. Go to BelmontBCTXS.com. BelmontBCTXS.com.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
We now send you back to Timothy's Bar and Grill on Brown Street for more of the Talking Out Loud pregame show, hosted by Sully.
What up, what up, what up? That is my name. I'm Sully. Welcome back. This is the Talking Out Loud live pregame show. Boys, the proverbial poop is starting to hit the fan in college basketball. We're joined now by Dukes from Barstool Sports to round out the hour here leading up to Flyers tipping off against URI, 7 o'clock from the Ryan Center. I got KT still with me. Dukes joining me for the last 15 minutes. Dukes, the proverbial poop hitting the fan, BYU and Gonzaga thinking about opting out of the West Coast Conference tournament. What are your thoughts?
Looks like not good news for the A10 because that's our only way in. And I heard that Chapman might come back for the tournament. So obviously it's not looking good for our tournament chances. We need to make this run in the A10 tournament. So it's our last chance.
Dukes, are you going to do that thing where if Chapman comes back fully healthy, you're going to be like, we got it, we're going all the way? That's going to be your kind of the horse that you're going to ride to victory, right?
Look, I'm not telling you how to spend your money, but the Flyers will probably get them at like plus 1,600 on a sports book.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
that's good value. That's good value.
It's great value. The only team I don't want to play is VCU.
Yeah.
I think they're the best team in the conference.
Yeah, it's funny. When we talked to Rhody Rampage this week on the podcast, he brought up the fact that Rhode Island doesn't match up well against UD, and I think it's mostly because of the guard play. Mm-hmm. But on the flip side of that, URI for some reason matches up very well against VCU. VCU always has a tough time beating URI, but again, just like how that triangle always works out, the one team I do not want to play is VCU. But here's the other thing, Dukes. Now that we're coming down the stretch, we still really don't know what to make of Bonaventure. I think they're a strong 5, but they have nothing else on the bench, right? And that's what you need to win the A10 tournament.
Yeah, Kyle Lofton is putting together a first team all conference year, but I don't know their bench play is inconsistent because if you're not going to put, it's not the Bonnies, it's either St. Louis or VCU in my opinion. I think that Richmond's out. I think they got to win the A10 tournament. They're not getting in. Auto bid. Same with Bonnies. I think the Bonnies have got to win the A10 tournament.
You know, it's funny that you say that. For listeners that don't know, I mean, right now where we sit on the bubble is that VCU is comfortably in. Richmond and St. Louis are right there. I think the last I saw them, they were in the first 4 buys. And then Bonaventure, I believe if they don't lose the rest of the regular season games, they're going to have to make it to Saturday or probably the A10 final, actually, more realistically. But here's the thing with Bonaventure. Their only losses are to Rhode Island, St. Louis, and VCU, and they only have 3 games left against Mason, Davidson, and UD. So it's not like they're going to be tested, and they're probably going to walk into Brooklyn at 13-3. Is that enough for them? They'd have to make it to Sunday, right?
Yes.
What do you think, KT?
Well, first of all, I know talking about gambling, I'll bet either you $10 that regardless, the CBS, whoever's on the call tonight is going to say the A10 has 3 or 4 teams heading to the big dance in March.
100%.
Because they said that every single game this year. Yeah. I was wondering, I know that you guys aren't, A10 7 days of the week, you know what's going on, but you have to know the A10 is not sending 4 teams to the dance in March. That's number one. Number two, I've said it before on the show, not the ESPN show, but our podcast. Of all the years for Dayton to win the A10 tournament, first of all, nothing they've done this year is any kind of proof or should give anyone any kind of certainty at all that we'll even get past the first game. All right.
That's
obviously
so
cheering for it.
Obviously I want it. For us.
People keep saying, oh, you're being so down on this team. Have some faith. I got all the faith in the world, guys, but show me one thing they've done collectively this season that would make me want to say, yeah, they have a good shot to win the A10. Absolutely not. But that being said, with just how Dayton basketball history goes in general, pandemic, losing so many starters, being a real middle of the pack team this year, this is the year that we would probably win just because that's how our luck works. But yeah,
shove it in your face. Yeah.
I mean, nothing you guys said I disagree with. I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more on how the CBS guys will definitely say at some point tonight there's many teams in the A10 going dancing, and that if we win, it's just because that's just 2020, 2021 in a nutshell.
Dukes, I asked this on the podcast this past week, but I'm interested to get your perspective on it. Putting tonight's game aside, if Dayton was to run the table, let's say they even got to Sunday. Let's say they got to Sunday. All right. They had to play in the final. Once you get to that final, nothing matters before that, right? Like, that's how I look at it. Is like, I'm not necessarily saying like Dayton has to win 4 games in 4 days. All I'm saying is if you get to the final, anything can happen. So my question to you is, what is the formula in your mind? Like, if you're going to sit here and tell me that Dayton has a chance, what's the formula look like for them?
Literally avoid VCU. VC Bones Highland is a legit nightmare because he can shut down our best player in Crutcher. Like, if St. Louis, Yuri Collins, like Goodwin, like they don't really have an answer for Crutcher. Crutcher's kind of their daddy. So I'm not really scared of any team besides VCU at the moment. Maybe Bonaventure. Bonaventure, because we haven't played them yet, but like their guard plays pretty good. So like I don't know how Lofton would guard Crutcher. I remember last year he couldn't really do it. So I just think it's avoid VCU.
The thing about Bones, too, just to add one more thing on what you just said, dude, the thing about Bones, not only can he guard Crutcher, he requests to guard Crutcher. He likes guarding Crutcher.
Yes,
he's not afraid, whereas 99% of players in the A-10 are scared of him and wouldn't want to go one-on-one with him. He asks to go against and guard him. So that's why you definitely don't want to be playing this team.
Yeah, he's the dude that's asking for a fight, and you don't ever want to fight the dude that's asking for a fight.
They're long, they're athletic, they can shoot the 3 now. Like they are coming together at the right time. I'm scared of VCU. And
doesn't it just pain you?
I don't disagree, but that's too many nice things said about VCU.
No,
I know.
It's like I was with my friends and we're talking, and they're like, oh, we should have done this. Like AG should have called the timeout here. We're talking about the game, and I'm like, yeah, but I think VCU might just be better than us right now.
I think they're just better.
To say,
very simple.
And
this is not a season to nitpick.
Yeah.
This is not a season to nitpick and overanalyze. Look in the 2 VCU games. That's all there is to it. They're a better team.
Yeah, and I think it's okay. I mean,
no, it's fine. Like, like I said, guys, the thing that really pains me right now, we're treating this like a podcast, which is in our nature. But the thing is, like this year, and this is why I kind of like to get off tangents on this, especially for the pregame show, is that like looking at these games or like overanalyzing like Dayton versus URI, it's just like, it's not even worth it at this point in the season. So it's better to kind of talk about these scenarios down the road, like A-10 tournament, who are we afraid of? And for listeners, I brought this up on the podcast this past week. But when you talk about, hey, we just need to avoid VCU, funny enough, that is the last time that Dayton won the A-10 tournament, is that they couldn't run into Xavier because they had lost to them twice that season. And then sure enough, Temple beat Xavier, and they ended up playing Temple on the Saturday final, and they got through and they won it all, right? That was how it happened. So I think like the safest bet, and you're absolutely right, is that you need to avoid a team that you match up poorly against like VCU. Shifting the focus, we got about, 4 minutes left here on the pregame show before we get to switch it over to CBS Sports. First things first, dudes. When you watch in The Office now, have you been relegated now that Dayton's kind of like out of it? Like, do you get to watch somewhere cool in the Barstool office or no?
Yeah, I watch in like the gambling cave, but it's like it pains me when like someone's like, you like Dayton tonight? You're like Dayton plus 3.5. Like they're gonna destroy Rhode Island, right? And it's like, oh, like I'm gonna take them no matter what. So why are you listening to me?
Dudes, Barstool in general. In the Barstool office, obviously, it's a lot of people from everywhere, but very, very Northeast concentrated. Do a lot of people, is Dayton more of a known name entity now? Because back in 2014, when we went to the Elite Eight, I remember talking to people, coworkers in California. They were like, wait, what's this Dayton University? Are we more of a known outside of Dayton basketball world? People know who Dayton is now. They're not just like, where'd you go to school? At Barstool specifically.
Duke, Villanova, Wisconsin, Dayton. That's how. That's the order in the office. I make sure that everyone knows who Dayton is.
Now there's going to be on a certain forum online, someone's going to be listening to this and just say, ESPN Radio had it. Dayton's up there with Vanderbilt and Duke, and it's just going to be
Wisconsin. So I mean, that's how I look at Dayton, though. I look at it: Kentucky, Duke, Dayton. I mean, those are like. I'm so passionate about Dayton, and it's so funny because I'll be getting people from Mississippi in my mentions like, you're the biggest Dayton Flyers fan of all time. I'm like, you don't know our fan base. Just wait till you get to our Twitter. I'm the easy one.
Come on up to Gem City, man.
Yeah,
come on up. We're finishing up last few minutes here talking out loud pregame show. I got my co-host KT, and we got Dukes from Barstool Sports rounding out the hour. Boys, all right, we got to get through this game tonight. It's ABC week presented by Lee's Chicken. Have to do that one. And I'm actually like kind of jazzed up for the SLU game on Friday because we get to have a chance at ending their season, which is like great. That's who you always want to be. Like, remember last year when we were rolling through and like conference games didn't mean a whole ton because we were like, all right, how much are we going to win by? And then VCU was kind of on a slide and we just like blew the doors off and we're like, all right, we put that to bed when we played there, right? But I'm excited for the St. Louis game Friday for that reason. You know, we get to kind of put them away if we beat them. But tonight, Dukes, how do the Flyers come out with a win? You know, what do you like tonight? I like them on the money line. I like the point total over. What do you like?
For sure, I like the under because I think that we're going to shut down Rhodey. This is Fats Russell's maybe last game for Rhodey at home. So I hope that we just shut him out, ruin his homecoming. Dayton plus 138 money line. I'm taking that. And then I'll be in Dayton on Friday for the SLU game, so I'm taking them then too.
Yeah, we'll do this. We're gonna run this back, this pregame show on Friday, same time, same place. I won't actually be at Tim's, but I mean, if you want to be at Tim's, maybe I can set up the Bud Light mic. You get real crazy in there.
Yeah,
okay?
For sure. I'm down.
You know, I'm going to take the keys to the game. First one I'm going to start with, guys, and if you want to add your keys to the game, I'm going to start with 3, and we can elaborate. They said they're allowing me to go right up until the 7 o'clock hour here. So as soon as we're done, we can switch right over. 3 keys to the game tonight. I got Jalen Crutcher leading all scoring, not just Dayton, all scoring. I got Flyers winning the turnover battle against URI, and I have Ibby Watson, second leading scorer. Those are the 2 things. Like it sucks because I'm saying like I'm being repetitive in this case. I'm just saying Jalen has to lead all scorers and Ibby has to lead the rest of the Dayton scorers behind him, and then they have to win the turnover battle. Those 3 things happen. I think the Flyers win. KT, what do you got?
Yeah, if I know this program, like I hope I do at this point, I see this is what. Nothing makes sense with this team. Every game is something different. I mean, we've had games where Jordy's been the leading scorer. We've had games where Crutcher gets benched with 10 minutes left in the half. Who knows what's going to happen? But tonight, I got a weird feeling. Again, Dukes, you said it with Fats last game in Kingston, last home game. I see us coming out, which is an MO of ours. We'll get down like 12-2. It always happens. A lot of times on the road. We'll get down 12-2, but I see us getting real hot after we start a little slow tonight. If I'm just giving my prediction, I got 71-64 Flyers.
All right. I like it. I got Dayton over 70 points tonight too. That's my lock of the night. Dukes, what do you have? Keys to the game.
I agree with you with Ibby. Ibby's got to shoot over 40% from 3, and he's got to have over 10 points. If you look at our wins and our losses, it all comes down to Ibby. If he's having a poor night, we lose.
Well, let me throw back to you guys
because I pointed that out to you last time we talked.
No, it's 100% true. I think it's a fact now.
It's facts. Wait, it's only facts here.
Let me ask you two. You don't have to give a long explanation for it, but take out Ibby, take out Crutcher. Who is your other X factor on the team tonight that has to play well or do something?
Well, it's got to be weak. Oh, you're on the Jordy train.
Yeah,
I like both of those.
Yeah. Mitchell's pretty good.
Mitchell's real good for Rhode Island. You know, if UD fans listen to us in the last couple of minutes here, if you want to look for something to watch Rhode Island, Mikkel Mitchell, sophomore transfer guy, he's got a twin brother who's not going to play tonight, but Mikkel Mitchell is going to be a problem for Flyers for years to come here. And then Jeremy Shepard is also celebrating his senior night in the starting lineup tonight. He's kind of been their Ibby Watson to the Jalen Crutcher, you know, for Rhode Island. So watch out for those guys because if they get hot, that's going to be the difference for Rhode Island's offense. I'm with you guys. I like the Flyers going over 70 points. We got 2 minutes left. KT, we're going to do final thoughts like we do on the podcast. So you're going to kick us off. Final thoughts, tip-offs in about 2 minutes here.
You just said that we're going to be looking at what's his name on Rhode Island, who's going to be a problem for years to come.
Mikkel Mitchell.
We got to remember that people are looking at our boy Mustafa and saying, "Oh shoot, we got to worry about this kid for years to come." So again, you know, it's not the season we wanted it to be, but we got some things happening here. I'm really excited. I love watching Mustafa play. I love Crutcher play. We don't have many games left with Crutcher, so let's have a good game tonight and enjoy the time we have left with one of our best players ever.
True. Dukes, what do you got for us, man? Close it out.
I've been saying it for 2 years now. Fats Russell is the most overrated guard in the A10, and I hope that tonight I stick by that statement. Let's go Flyers. Yeah, overrated.
Closing it out hot. We're trying to make a terrible night for Fats. We're trying to make it a closeout. 8 games playing poorly against the Flyers, and you're going to see it. Switch over, CBS Sports Network. Game tipping off momentarily. Dayton against URI. I'm looking forward to it. And then, of course, we got St. Louis coming up on Friday. Pre-game show coming back to you 6 o'clock Friday night. We're going to do it the exact same way. And I'm sure the boys are going to join us again because this is always fun. On behalf of KT and Dukes from Barstool Sports, my name is Sully. Thanks for joining us for Talking Out Loud live pregame show. You know there's 2 rules heading into tip-off tonight. It's wear red and be loud. We'll catch you next time. For the game.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio.
If I'm not commuting anymore, where do I really want to live?
While you handle life's questions, Merrill Guided Investing helps you manage your portfolio and invest for your next move with the option to work with an advisor at a low cost and minimum. Merrill, a Bank of America company. Visit merrilledge.com/investing goals to get started today.
Investing involves risk. Merrill Lynch, Pierce, Fenner & Smith Incorporated, both a registered broker-dealer and investment advisor, member SIPC. Investment products are not FDIC insured or not bank guaranteed and may lose value.
This President's Day, Dell honors all you do with exceptional savings up to $300 off. Power your passions with our latest tech, like beautifully crafted XPS computers and powerful Alienware gear featuring Intel Core processors. Work, learn, or play from anywhere with essential electronics, including